You want popcorn?
No. Maybe after. Okay. First of all, Tali, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. The idea came about because about a month ago, I gave a presentation at Chabad of the Upper East Side. Jonathan Cohen is one of the boys that goes there, and he knows Tali, and he connected us, and I said, great idea, let's do it. All right, so I think you need to know a little bit about my background. So I was born in Cairo, Egypt, Mitzrayim. The family went from Yerushalayim to Buenos Aires. One of my grandfather left Buenos Aires and he went to Cairo, Egypt. He got married and he stayed there. So my father is Sfaradi, my mother is Ashkenazi. So how did that happen? So my mother's family left Russia when the communists took over and ran away from the Russian Revolution, and they ended up in Cairo. I was raised there until the 6-Day War. We moved to New York, where I went to school. We became part of the Sephardi community, the Syrian community over there. I went to Yeshiva University High School, NYU and Harvard College. I became a doctor. I specialized in sports medicine and foot surgery. I was a doctor at the Olympic Games in 1984. But I was very lucky because when I was 12 years old, one of the greatest rabbis in the world moved into our area. You may have heard of him, Rabbi Victor Miller. He was a Gaon, genius, and I became like his student since I was 12 years old. He was a person who was especially intelligent in human relations, and that interested me a lot. So after I became a doctor, I said, I don't want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore, which is what my life was when I was a doctor and I was in residency. I want to learn Torah half a day. And that's exactly what I did. And 1 to 8, I would work as a physician. And then my rabbi kicked me out. He says, now you could start teaching. So I taught in universities. I taught for Hillels, yeshivot. The interesting change in my life came is when we moved to Miami in 2002. We moved to Miami, to Miami Beach. I taught in University of Miami for the Hillel there, and something called the CLE, which is like Yehudi today. And a lot of people came to my house, and a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, became religious from that. I moved back to New York because of Shidduchim. I was afraid. Back in 2007, I was worried. Now it's a lot better, but my daughters really grew up in the Ateret Torah system, which is the school of New York. You really have to know a congressman to get in. It's hard. Anyway, and that's where I wanted my girls to be. Baruch Hashem, my daughter now runs Kesha for Joey Haber. He's a big guy. So she runs the whole, she teaches in 4 colleges, does a lot of kiruv. And I came back to New York with the intent of going back into medicine. One day, I was giving a class called Dating with Dr. Jack, Wednesday night. I'm a toolbox guy. Tonight, I'm going to teach you, I came with 2 folders. The problem, the solution. Okay? I studied this for years. I was under thousands of chuppot. I used to teach a lot of young men and women who were not so religious, whatever it was. And so, by reading so many books on the subject, and by involving myself in so many people's lives, I got a lot of experience. So what happened was, about 8 years ago, I was giving a class in a place called Ruach HaTorah. It's around the corner from Touro College in Brooklyn. And someone put I was a private guy. Someone came in with a video machine and put up my lecture on Torah Anytime. 2 days later, I am getting emails from all over the world. Unbelievable. Sweden, Denmark, Israel, Japan, you name it. People are writing me. On dating, yeah. Right. And I said, I think Hashem, you're sending me a signal here. So I continued doing that until I decided that I could better serve Klal Yisrael as a dating mentor. And that's what I did. I became a dating coach. I mean, I already had the skills. I think the high point of my life was when I was asked 2 years ago by Eliza Ben Shalom, who's a dear friend of mine, would you like to join us on Netflix? I said, no, I don't need that in my life. They just had My Unorthodox Life with Julia Hart, and it was a big Chilul Hashem. So she said, but if I tell you, you need to talk to the producer. The producer is like, she comes from Beis Yaakov. Stockings like bulletproof stockings. I said, where do you live? She says, Philadelphia. Rabbi Cohen, she says to me, I'm going to Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky, who's the Gadol Hador. If he says that we could do the show, would you do the show? I said, yes. If he gives the okay, I'm in. And we did it. And we did it. I think we produced a tremendous Kiddush Hashem. I really never met the other people. I was involved only in the couple that's religious. And he's the only one that got married. That's it. Yeah, Hashem Shai Rosenfeld. He's a great guy. And yeah, thank God. So let's get started. By the way, I brought cards. What I do today is I mentor people throughout the world on WhatsApp and Zoom, on video. Anybody who has any questions for me, you should give the cards out. This way, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. Here, just give them out. Tali, thank you. Here you go. And that's right, because I love helping people in this area. Okay, let's get started. Okay, now, introduction. Why does it seem that Shidduchim has become so difficult? What's going on? Is it because you're not trying hard or you're trying too hard? So the question is asked like this. Should I use my heart or should I use my head? And I'm going to teach you that the best thing to do is to use your head. And I'll show you how. You need to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, who am I? Where am I going in life? What's my hashkafa? Hashkafa comes from the word mishkafayim, means glasses. Which direction am I going? I'm going to teach you something that I've taught thousands. Love is not two people looking at each other. Love is two people looking in the same direction. What direction is he looking? You understand? That's very important. I deal a lot of shalom bayit, a ton. Most of the problem comes 2 years into the marriage, we start to see big divide. Because they were like Shangri-La, happy when they were dating. They didn't ask the good questions, which I hope to get to tonight. So, but if I don't, again, I have a PDF that I have created on the most important questions you should ask in dating. It's 100 questions. Send me a WhatsApp and I'll send it to you. It's very important. Great questions will help you determine if this is the guy for me or not for me. You're not there to waste time. You have to have fun when you're on a date, but you have a focus. You want to see if this is the person that I could build a house with. Again, we've been fed too many fairy tales from TV and movies, and we're in the state of Walt Disney that he's just going to come into my life. It doesn't work that way. You have to have a little bit of work. You know, Walt Disney is a fantasy. But when you get married, somebody has to take out the garbage. Nobody tells us that, right? So that's very important. Now, I did a podcast 2 days ago, and I want to share this with you. There's a professor in Yeshiva University called Rabbi Benjamin Bleich. He just celebrated his 60th anniversary in Hollywood. In the crowd were a lot of Hollywood producers and a lot of the movie directors, and everyone saying, Rabbi, how did you do it? How did you stay married for 60 years? You know, in Hollywood, we could do that, but you need 5 wives to do that. Or 6. How did you do it with one woman? So he says, you have to know. It goes back to when I was in yeshiva. The first Mishnah you learn when you're in 4th grade is Baba Metziah, when you have a lost object and you find, it's called Hashavat Aveda, when you find a lost object. So the Mishnah says like this, 2 people see a garment. Both jump on it on exactly the same time, right? Both grab it. Each one says, I got here first. What do you do now? So they go to Beit Din. Each one swears, and the Dayan takes the garment, says, give me a scissor, cuts it in half, and divides it. He goes, that's my biggest lesson for Shalom Bayit. Divide the garment. All my life, it's about sharing. It's about learning how to give up something that's not yours. That's a very important lesson. If you want to make it Shalom Bayit, and you want a beautiful marriage, learn how to divide the garment. And that's going to by the way, could you do me a favor? Someone could take pictures, because my website guy keeps driving me crazy. We need pictures for the homepage. You guys are going to be the homepage. Okay, now, let me show you an example of what it means to have a great marriage. Darwish Masachi was a Persian Jew who was born in Iran in 1926. And in 1951, he was introduced to his wife, Pari, Zahavian. Zahav, gold. They were in the gold business. She was 10 years younger than him. Right? And she was only 15 years old when she married him. They got married, and over the next 20 years had 8 children. Then there was the Iran Revolution, and they had to get out. So they hired somebody to take them to Turkey, and from there, and they make it to New Jersey. When they get to New Jersey, she gets a job as a medical assistant, and he's too old to work, so he stays in shul, says some tehillim, whatever it is. When he's 91 years old, he has to have surgery that requires general anesthesia. Let me tell you, as a doctor, it's dangerous to give a 91-year-old patient anesthesia. Anyway, on the day of the surgery, the family's sitting in the waiting room saying tehillim. But no one knows, and no one told anyone else. There's the wife and the children. Each one is fasting, but no one told anyone else that they're fasting. They're keeping it a secret. So anyway, 7 hours later, the surgery is over. And they wheel him into the intensive care unit. And now the anesthesia is starting to wear off, and he says, he's in the bed. He says, nurse, I want lunch. She says, Mr. Masachi, you came out of surgery. You can't have no food till tomorrow. 5 minutes later, nurse, I want lunch. Mr. Masachi, I told you can't have lunch. No, my wife, give her lunch. What are you talking about? He goes, she's probably fasting. And she's probably hungry. So she looks at him, how did you know? How did you know? He goes, when you're married for 61 years, you just know. That's what we call about sharing the garment. So now, the more you do what you're doing, the more you're going to get the same result. We have to change what you guys do. So that's my job tonight. All right, number one, we do a little bit of spirituality. Emunah. An Alaskan guy is telling a story in the bar. He's drinking. And he tells the bartender, you know what? I'm done with God. There's no place for him in my life. You know what happened? My airplane crashed. And I didn't die, but I was stuck under a piece of metal. You know, they just had the same thing in Toronto. And I was about to die. And then he says, a guy came and saved me. So he says to him, what do you mean? Who sent him? God sent him. So he says to him, you forgot about that? We forget about God. He thought, oh, somebody came and saved me. God does all the saving. Let me teach you, let me share an incredible story with you on Emunah. From Israel. A guy says he's going to yeshiva, and he's in a very good yeshiva, he's a top boy. Anyway, he was suggested to a few girls, and then he got engaged. And he felt, I got the best girl in the world, great family. And he got set up to go to a beautiful kollel. The engagement period was fantastic. And they decided that the wedding is going to be December 15th. Monday, December 12th. He's sitting, he's waiting, 3 days, I'm going to get married. His mother gets the phone call. And then she starts screaming at the phone. What do you mean? She says to the person, I don't understand. It's okay for a bride to get nervous. Tell her to relax. What do you mean it didn't start today? What happened? He's trying to ask his mother what's going on. She puts the phone down and she says, they canceled the wedding. The guy's in absolute shock. Canceled the wedding. She started crying. Said, Makarayima. They canceled the wedding. He says, the scene is still frozen in my mind. What happened? She's anxious, she's nervous, and she's been feeling that way during the engagement. The next 3 days were the most embarrassing days of my life. I didn't know what to hide. And now I have to tell everyone the wedding's off. What a busha. What an embarrassment. And the wedding day was the worst of all. Shabbos. I was sitting in bed, totally depressed. Motzei Shabbat, I said, I got to do something. So I'm going to go to the kotel. What do I do? What do I say to Hashem? I don't know where to start. So I said to myself, I have two options. I can either jump off the roof or jump for joy. So he gets to the kotel and he opens up a Sefer Tehillim and he figures most of Sefer Tehillim is David HaMelech and his problems with people and his enemies and all the problems. He opens Sefer Tehillim. Which one does he open to? Just my luck. Mizmor LeTodah. And he starts the scene there. He talks to Hashem about how happy he is. Hashem is kind to him and everything's for the best. I said, maybe what's wrong with me? Maybe I didn't open the Tehillim correctly. So let's open again. He opens now to 92. Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat Tov Lehodot LaHashem. What does this mean? Where is this going? He went back home, 4 a.m. He fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, his cell phone rings. He wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody, but he sees it's the Rosh Kolel where he was going to start. Now he has nothing. He left his yeshiva. Someone took his place. So the Rosh Kolel calls him and he says, "Hi, Shimon, how are you? I hear you won't be joining us." It's hard to hear that. And he goes, "But I want you." He says, "I want you." He says, you can't join a Kolel if you're not married?" "No, I want you to come." "What do you mean?" "I want you for my daughter." He tells him. He's not ready, I'm not sure, I'm still processing all the suffering from this broken engagement. So, I'll get back to you, I'm not sure. So he decides, he tells his friend, he says, "Rami, maybe we'll go take it just happens to be totally coincidental that it's Breslov. But maybe we'll go take a trip to Mezibuch, the Baal Shem Tov, we'll go to Uman, this and that, and, pray at the Kivrei Tzadikim." And wouldn't you know, he gets there, he gets to the kever of the Baal Shem Tov. I've been there a few times, and he starts screaming, "God, why me? Why did you do it to me? Why? What bad did I ever do to deserve this?" And he's crying like a baby. Why? And look, he looks to the left, and it's Reb Shalom Harush right there. He goes, "What happened?" And he tells him his story. And then at the end, he says, "Oh, by the way, the Rosh Kolel, that I was going to join, called me about his daughter, but I'm not in the head for that." "What do you mean?" "No." He pulls out some money, goes, "You're going to Kiev right now, getting on the first plane and meeting the girl." And that's what he did. And she really was a great girl. Probably even better, he said, than the girl that I was dating before. And then I went out with her. First date, okay. Second date, okay. Third date, he tells her something. "I don't know if I can continue going out with you. I'm having a hard time forgetting the girl before." He tells her like that. She says to him, "I like that about you." And she tells him a story. In the Holocaust, they hid children in churches. And there were 2 girls, after the Holocaust, they came to get the kids back. There were 2 kids, girls, that were still in one monastery, in one church. One girl said, "Okay, I'll come." The other one would not go. Would not go. Unless, she said, "You let me take my cross with me." Because she had already absorbed 2 years of being in the church. She was a young girl. She tells him the story. She says, "Today, one lives on a kibbutz, not religious. One has a model home." Which girl do you think is the girl who has the great home today that's religious? The girl with the cross. Why? Because she was loyal to the cross. All she had to do was switch her loyalty to someone else. And then she became frum. He says, "All I have to get you to do is just switch your loyalty from that girl to me. And that's it." And he goes, "You're brilliant. I love that. What a great idea." And they get married. And guess what happens? He gets a phone call from the father of a boy who's considering allowing his son to date his ex. So he said, "I heard you broke up with her." "What are you talking about? I didn't break up with her. She broke up with me." "What about the hospitalizations?" "What do you mean? What hospitalization?" "You don't know? She had a nervous breakdown twice." She had a nervous breakdown 2 days before the wedding. They didn't tell anybody, and Hashem saved them. Emunah. So when you're going out and things don't go your way, always remember, Kacha Hashem rotzeh v'hakol le'tova. It's all for the best. Now, there was a famous Russian chess player, Garry Kasparov. He was brought to America to play against IBM's best computer. He beat IBM's computer. IBM was embarrassed. So IBM said, come back for a rematch. He came back and he lost to IBM's computer. He said something interesting. IBM didn't build the computer to play chess. IBM built the computer to beat me. And what's the lesson I want to tell you? The Yetzer Hara is programmed to get me, to get you, he knows our weaknesses. And Hashem just wants us to make efforts to do whatever we can to fight him. I'll give you a story. Charlie Harari told me this. Sushi, you had it tonight. In Japan, they love sushi. And there's one fish they really like, but it's very expensive, and they have to go out 6 hours to get it when they fish for this fish. So, when they fished for it and they brought it back, it lost its flavor. So they decided, we'll catch the fish, freeze it, and then bring it back to the shore. Same story. Lost its flavor. They decided, you know what, we'll catch them, but put them in little tanks so they're fresh, so they're alive. But when they came back to shore, same story, no flavor. They figured out what to do. Let's recreate the natural environment. They catch the fish, put them into little tanks, but put little sharks to chase them, which is what's going on out there in the ocean. And when they came back, the fish tasted delicious. Adversity is great. It makes you strong. Your problems are your benefit. There's a book called The Obstacle is the Way. You understand? Look at all your challenges as making you stronger. Without that kind of challenge, you're not going to grow very much. You don't ask for them, but you can't give up. You heard Shlomo Carlebach? You ever heard of Shlomo Carlebach? Big singer. Yeah, years ago. Anyway, so he was the guy 50 years ago helping people be Choser B'Tshuva. He's a famous singer. He passed away. Anyway, he's on a plane, and a stewardess gives him dinner. She looks like a regular Irish girl, blonde, blue eyes. He didn't get something to drink. So he goes back to the back of the airplane to ask her. You know, they drew the curtain was pulled. And he looks behind and he sees that she's praying from a siddur. He goes, "Holy sister, you're one of us?" He goes, "Yeah." She said, "Rabbi, I'll come and talk to you about it." So she goes to his chair and she tells him, "I converted. Something about my neshama, you know, my soul is attached to Judaism. I converted and I started dating this great Jewish guy, and his father will not allow him to marry a convert. So, Rabbi, could you do me a favor? When you arrive at the destination, this is my boyfriend's phone number. Can you speak to his father?" So he gets to his hotel, he makes the phone call, and he introduces himself. "My name is Rabbi Carlebach. I know your son is going out with her. She's such a delicious girl. She's so nice. I saw her praying in the back of the plane. Not simple for a stewardess to do that. I never saw that anybody, and I'll do that." You know. So he says, "Rabbi, don't get involved. You know, I'm a Holocaust survivor. After what happened in the Holocaust, I'm not connected to Judaism in any way. But I told my children one thing: if they marry non-Jew, they're dead. I kept that." Okay? So he says, "I have to call the girl back." Now, this is before we had cell phones. So he calls the girl, and who answers? Her father. And he tells him, "You know, I'm trying to save this relationship between you, your daughter, and this boy." "Oh, Rabbi, why'd you get involved? Leave it alone." and tells him, tell me about your history. He says, I'm going to tell you something that even my children don't know. We're also in the Holocaust. But because we were so hurt by what happened, we never told our children that they're Jewish. Huh? So they were raised as Catholics. So Rabbi Kalbach says, wow, she's not a convert. Wow. I have to make a meeting. When I get back to New York, we're going to be together. So when he came back to New York, he made a meeting that the father comes with the boy and she comes with her father. So the two men say hello to each other, the father of the boy, the father of the girl, and he looks at him and says, Yankel, Herschel. They were friends in Cheder, in Lithuania. And they hugged. But it gets even better. They start to cry. He said, you remember the deal we made when we were like 12 years old? That we would always stay close. And our children would marry each other. Rov machshavot belebi shvatzat Hashem hitakum. Man plans. And God laughs, huh? Okay. Let's keep going. Okay, so focus on the positive in life is very important. Very, very important. Let me tell you a case study. A guy writes, before I got married, I asked people, what's the biggest etzah you can give me for a successful marriage? Because I lost 2 wives because of it, until I learned the lesson. Before asking your husband for anything, the question to ask yourself is, how can I make him feel good about giving me a yes to my request? How can I feel? What can I say to him to make him feel good? That's important. Very important. How we communicate. There's a woman out there called Gila Mandelson. Gila is probably the biggest. She was never religious, became religious recently. Yeah. She's probably the biggest expert in the world in Shmirat Negiyah. Anyway. She went to Israel in Project Birthright. She was studying at UCLA. Someone said, do you want to go to an Orthodox wedding? I said, sure. She goes and she sees, she's in her jeans. She sees mechitza. She never saw this before. Everyone's dressed b'tzniut. It's amazing. And that turns her on to rediscovering her past. And she enrolls in Neve Yerushalayim, becomes frum, starts dating a guy in Esha Torah. It's getting serious. And now it's time for her to meet the Rosh HaYeshiva, Reb Noah Weinberg. Alav Shalom. By the way, I want to make a good point here. When you date a guy and you date him for marriage, it's so important that he has a mashpia or he has a Rebbe that he can ask questions to. Because when you get married, things are going to happen. And this guy was doing something very intelligent. He says, I want my Rosh Yeshiva to meet you. He himself was a Baal Tshuva, just like her. So she comes in. The rabbi was a warm man. What's your name? Gila. What are you studying? Psychology. And where do you live? And it's going well. When suddenly the rabbi asks her a fantastic question. So Gila, tell me, what's love? Please explain love to me. So this is what she answers. Rabbi, love is the feeling that you have when you feel like you have that feeling. And she says, Oi! I blew it. I can't even define what love is. And I said to myself, it can't be a feeling. Feelings come and feelings go. And if you base love on a feeling, he could be just a miserable guy, bad midot. It can't be based on a feeling. And this is what I want you to learn tonight. Love is based on character and values. Is he caring? Is he loyal? Is he patient? Is he responsible? Is he honest? Is he willing to work things out? Love is not just a feeling. Love is a set of values. So she says, let me tell you what love is, the way Rabbi Weinberg explained it to me. Love is the attachment between a boy and a girl because you appreciate their actions and their goodness. He opens the door for you. He buys you cookies that you like. He picks you up from the airport. He calls you on a hard day to say, how are you doing? You appreciate that goodness of that person. That's what love is. That kind of relationship lasts. That kind of relationship can have its down but goes back up. Like a roller coaster, goes up again. It's built on a yesod. And then she became a psychologist. And she had a couple come to her. I'm going to tell you what she said. I had a couple, perfect couple. Larry and Linda. She changed the names. They agreed on everything. Travel. They both like to go to the same places. Food. They like same thing. Indian food, Thai food, whatever it was. Politics, they agreed. Diet, the environment, you name it. You never saw two people so made for each other. They seemed so happy together. They were enviable. Everyone was jealous of them. Larry and Linda are now divorced. What happened? Despite their compatibility, why didn't it last? Because neither Larry nor Linda believed in ever improving themselves. If you're a Jew, you're constantly thinking about growth. You're constantly thinking, how can I become better? We have Rosh Chodesh to remind us that the moon goes out and goes in. That means we recycle every month. Shabbat, we sit down, we think, how was my week? What did I do well? What did I do well? Then we have Yamim Noraim. It's all about thinking about how to become better. They never understood, this is an important point, marriage is a spiritual path. There's got to be some Yiddishkeit there. I have a couple that are fighting all the time in Las Vegas. She walks 2 miles to shul on Shabbat. He's washing his car and playing tennis and listening to music. At 11 o'clock, he gets into his car to drive to the Kiddush. I can't tell you how many times the police have been there. They fight, the kids fight. Marriage is a spiritual path. What's our life? What makes our life special? If we're just someone else on the street. We're Jews. So we have Shabbat, and we have Yom Tov, and we have Purim, and we have Hanukkah, and we have, for the men, Torah, and we have Tefillin, and we have Tzitzit, we have Mikveh, we have structure. We have what to live for, and that's what keeps us alive. I was shocked. A girl, I was telling Tammy this, a Chinese lady came to talk to me Sunday. She makes $500,000. Finance. What do you want from me? I said to her, I want to learn how you Jews do it. How do you keep marriages the way you do? And she grilled me good for about over an hour, asking questions and writing and writing and writing. We have it. If we understand that marriage is a spiritual path, that's the key. Then you grow together. And that's what keeps you going. Is there any more fantastic system than the system of Nidan Mikveh? It's the greatest system ever designed to maintain a fresh marriage. You know, it says, they say in English, familiarity breeds contempt. If I could have anything when I want it anytime, I get bored of it. So the Torah sets a system, I'll never get bored of you. And it says, Vayeda Adam et ishto. Why does the Torah say Vayeda? And he knew his wife. He took her to the bedroom. What does Vayeda mean? Besides that, we want to use clean language. No. The Torah is telling us something fascinating. 12 days out of the month, you have to talk to each other. You have to communicate. You have to build a relationship outside of the bedroom. You have to learn how to become best friends. That's what's important. And that's why marriage is a spiritual path. So I was just remembered a beautiful story. Shmuel and Razi got married 100 years ago. They lived in Romania. They said, you know, America is the golden Medina. Tali, you just tell me, give me a heads up about 3 minutes before. And I'll close. Huh? Yeah. You just tell me. Okay. Anyway.
It's like 1 a.m.
Yeah. They sold everything they had. They just got married. And they put everything into cash. And took a few things. And they bought tickets for a boat leaving from England, going to America. Anyway, everyone's waiting to be allowed to go on the boat when he hears a young boy screaming in Yiddish. He's trying to talk to the immigration officer, but he doesn't understand. The immigration officer speaks in English. So he said, Rosie, let's see what's going on. Maybe we can help the guy. So the boy explained to him, I was living with my uncle, and my uncle passed away. My parents are in America. And in the old days, they couldn't bring the whole family to a new country. They used to go one at a time. So my father and my mother are there, and now my uncle passed away. I have nowhere to go. I'm going to sleep on the street. I took all the money that I worked for, and I bought a ticket. I got to get on this boat. And so the Shmuel says to the immigration officer, what's the problem? He goes, he doesn't have a passport that's valid. It expired. Go back to London and fix the problem. No, come on, do the guy a favor. Let him on. Let him on. Meanwhile, they're blowing the horn. And Razi says, Shmuel, we got to go. Whatever we own is on the bottom of that ship. All their gifts from their wedding, whatever they got. And he says, no. We have to help a fellow Jew here. Don't worry about it. Shmuel, these cost us a fortune, these 2 tickets. They just blew the second horn. The third one, it's over. Meanwhile, he's still fighting with the immigration guy. He's fighting, and the boat's going bye-bye. Bye. And she's crying. 1 tear, 2 tears. Razi, don't worry. We can get on another boat. It's okay. But helping another Jew is what's important. Remember that what I told you about Gila Mandelson? About looking for midot. We'll go back to London, we'll help this boy. The next day, the world found out the Titanic had sunk. He goes on to catch another boat. He moves to Canada, not America. 6 children and 56 grandchildren. Because he helped another Jew. Amazing? That's what we're looking for. Midot. Got to look for midot. So this chapter is called The Search for Perfection. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. There's a story that they tell, and I also want to catch this. The story they tell about a woman, a grandmother, who's playing by the ocean, by the beach, playa, and with her grandson Shimmy. The water was very high. The tide was very high that day. Shimmy went a little too far into the water, and the tide swept him out. And she starts to cry, Shimmy, where are you? Hashem, please, bring back Shimmy. I'll do anything. I'll give tzedakah, whatever. 2 minutes later, a miracle comes, and the tide comes, and Shimmy comes back. She says, thank you, Hashem. But where's his Miami Heat hat that he had on? Hakarat Tov, you can't get it all. So we're not going to get it all. That's very important. I want to just show you something. I want to find something. Give me a second. It's important. I want to catch this now. Give me a second. I remember it anyway. They did a study in Whole Foods. 2 psychologists. And this is the problem we have today. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sally. This is the problem we have today. They put 2 tables in Whole Foods. One has 6 jellies. One has 24. They want to study people's psychology. If you taste, you get $1 off if you buy. Coupon. And they watched how many people tasted and how many people bought. 70% tried the table that had 24, only 20% tasted or tried the flavors of the one that had 6. Guess what happened when it came to buying? 60% bought at the table that had 6, 10% bored at the table of 24. Ladies, we have a problem today called TMC. Too much choice. That's a problem. In the olden days, whether it was Sfaradi or Ashkenazi, it's not relevant. You went to the town Shadchan, 7 guys or 8, 10 guys to choose from, 10 girls to choose from. Vizehu. I can open up my phone today and scroll and literally look at 600 or 700 resumes in a matter of 10 minutes. You have no problem. Check my phone. I belong to about 15 chats. Just Shidduchim resumes.
Do you have Latinos?
I know, I'm looking. Now you got me thinking. Good. I have to start looking. Anyway, so, yeah. Well, maybe too much choice is not a problem here. Too little choice. So I scrap that one. I have to work on that. But that's, or too much wanting of too many categories. So, there's a famous book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. John Gray. When I was in Chaim, Berlin, they used to read it in the bathroom. Yeah, all the guys in the kollel. Anyway, sorry. But there's chokhmah in there. The guy's not Jewish, but he's smart. Anyway, I like what he writes here. Because one of the biggest problems we have today is the concept of just focusing on physical attraction. He says, I don't understand. I was a therapist in Hollywood, and gorgeous women would come up to me and tell me that their husbands were not attracted to them. And I couldn't understand what's going on. How could that be? I did a little research, and I said, it wasn't that the guys were not loyal to the women or the women not loyal to the men. Both partners were responsible for the problem because they both married based purely on physical chemistry. That's it. And then he says, here's my conclusion. When physical chemistry is not attached to chemistry of the heart, to chemistry of the soul, there's no way it's going to grow. That's why it's important that you have to build a dating relationship on good, solid questions. So now I have to skip because I really need to get this. This is one of my favorite things. This is a PDF that I've sent out 10,000 times on email, maybe 15,000. I did it for a podcast called Headlines, famous podcast in New York. They interviewed me and they asked me, why are we seeing so many young divorces and broken engagements in the Jewish community? And I said, the dating is not being done correctly. They're not asking targeted questions. So the PDF has 100 questions. I'll send it to Tali. Anybody wants it, private. You just WhatsApp me and I'll be happy to give it to you. But let's go through some of the questions.
Rabbi, they should ask all of them in the first date, right?
No. You're going to scare them away. Yeah. Actually, hold on. You got me thinking. I have to switch something out. I'm going to do something else. There's so much to talk about. Okay, hold on. Here. Okay, I got it. The first date. I'm going to go from the first date and I'll proceed. The first date is a very general date. Keep your expectations low. Don't expect too much. What should you do on the first date? The first date is like airplane talk. You go to take a flight from Miami to Buenos Aires or New York to Tel Aviv. You sit next to somebody. Oh, what book are you reading? Where are you from? The date is a general date. You want to come with some interesting stories, a little background about your life, maybe an interesting political observation. Every day something's in the news these days, about political observation, or your family, your friends, what you like to do, your interests, your hobbies. And then it starts to move. So some of the questions that I want you to think of that you may want to ask the boy is, what are you proud as an accomplishment in your life? He built a business. Wonderful. I learn an hour a day after shul. Fantastic. If he's proud of the fact that, he traveled to 5 countries, I don't know if I'm so impressed with that. You know what I'm saying? What does it mean? I asked this question to somebody Sunday night. It took him 2 minutes to answer this. What does it mean to you to be a Jew? What does that mean to you? Does it mean anything to you? What are your goals in life? I want to be a NASCAR driver? No. I want to build a home. I want to get married. I want to have children. I want to join a nice community with my wife together. Who are your friends? How do you choose a friend? What do you look for in a friend? Now you're starting to see how he thinks. What are his priorities in life? Have you had a challenge in life, and how did you deal with it? There's going to be stuff, girls, that's going to happen in life. There's going to be, unfortunately, emergency room visits. There'll be things in life that are not so happy. There's going to be struggles. Some days, like my Rabbi Victor Miller would say, some years you're going to make so much money, Be'ezat Hashem, it should stay that way. And there'll be years, there'll be dips. How does he deal with stuff? That's very important. Do you have a Rebbe that you're close to? Do you daven every day? I'm not even going to say I hold him that he has to go to shul. If he tells me he puts tefillin on, good enough for me today. You know what I'm saying? Do you consider yourself to be a happy person? That's important. Because you need somebody who has simchat chayim. That's so important. So what I want to tell you to do is like this. Sit down. If you want my help, call me. And this is the best way to date. Write a top 10 list of what midot you want in the guy. Or what things you want in the guy. And I'll tell you 3 things that I taught all my married daughters. I told them, focus on these 3 things and you're good to go. In Hebrew, ka'as, kaptan, kamtzan. Anger. Big problem in a guy. You're right, you can get angry once in a while. But if the guy has a history of it, watch out. Kamtzan, cheap. If the guy doesn't give the girl money, disaster. And kaptan, my way or the highway. Makpid is, he's insistent. It has to be his way. So please remember these 3 qualities in checking a guy out. Kamtzan, kaptan, ka'asan. Anger, cheap, and inflexible. Very important. Right? Now, if you're feeling down, question, what would you do to raise yourself? Listen to an Emunah class, go to a Pilates class, jog, exercise. I want to know how you deal with life. Why is that important? Because today we're seeing more divorces. You have to do a little bit more homework today. And it doesn't mean you have to go like an FBI and ask questions. You have to be smart about it. For example, let's say you're talking about schools, education, where you went to school. So you might want to pop the question, what schools would you send your kids to? Would you raise your children the way you were raised, or would you do anything differently? I didn't raise my children exactly the way my father raised me. It's a different world. You understand? My mother didn't cover her hair. My wife covers her hair. It's a whole different world. You understand? So you have to find out what his attitudes are.
Rabbi?
Yes?
Sorry, question. I thought I try to set up sometimes people, and one of the main things I see, some people date the traditional shidduch way, and some people are not there yet. They're not religious, so they
fine, regular.
More regular. So what can you do so that dating is more
right.
Huh?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have cases like that right now where I try to encourage them, if they would just allow a shadchan to come into the picture. Girls, let me tell you something. A good shadchan is your best friend. Because when there's no shadchan involved.
Sorry, shadchan is like a matchmaker.
Yes.
Someone's going to be in between helping them.
Yes, he's your in-between. He or she is your in-between. Most of the time it's a woman. I do it also, but men do it, but most of the time it's a woman. When there's someone who is in the middle, they can see to it that the relationship moves along at a nice pace. Also, they'll get you out if it's not for you. You understand? You're not going to waste your time. This is what really bugs me. When people come to me and they're dating for years. I have a case that's dating 5 years going nowhere. Nowhere. He's an AI guy at Columbia University and she's a finance guy. Because there's no pressure. And the girl says, okay, I'll wait. Wait for how long? Understand? And sometimes, many times, because of a miscommunication, because there's no matchmaker, they break up when someone could have saved it. She didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. You didn't understand her. They fix a lot of problems. And they keep the car moving at a nice pace. They can also get you out if it's not for you. Because your mission, when you go on a date, you're dating for marriage. You're not there to waste your time. You want to have fun, but you have a purpose. You're there to accomplish a goal. Between asking good questions and maybe getting totally involved with someone. Call me, I don't care, I'll speak to anybody. It doesn't bother me, you know.
But I would say, when you say that to someone not religious, hi, do you mind someone to be involved? They're like, what?
They're going to most likely refuse you. That's true. But the few intelligent ones will say yes, and you're helping them. It's trying to help them. You're telling them, listen, I want to make sure you don't get hurt. Again, because someone is protecting your interests. They want to make sure you don't get hurt. Right? And also, the guy behaves, which is important. You know, that's very important. I can't stress, I came from a world where there was no shatchanim. We dated regular, like this. All my children, all shidduchim, with matchmaker. Best system I ever saw. By date 10, it's over, it's done, bam, bam, done. Between 10 to 15 dates, you wrap the whole thing up. I'll give you a fantastic story. Listen to this. Because I'm a doctor, I just remembered. Because I'm a doctor, so I know a lawyer who does healthcare law. And we schmooze. And he knows I was in Netflix. Anyway, so he calls me, he goes, he's not religious at all, zero. He lives in Buffalo. He tells me he had a hearing in Manhattan that he flew to get from Buffalo to Manhattan on JetBlue. Okay, fine. He gets to the hearing. And he finishes. He catches an Uber back to JFK, back to Buffalo. It starts to rain like crazy. So JetBlue has, I think it's Terminal 5 in JFK. So he gets there, and she tells him there's a 4-hour delay, but Mr. Feldman, you're lucky. The TWA hotel is right next door. Go have a drink by the bar. We'll call you when we're ready. He doesn't know that the TWA hotel is probably the biggest place for religious dates in New York. He walks in, and he calls me. What is going on here? There are about 200 religious couples on dates. I said, Matthew, good question. That's real dating going on. They're asking good questions. They're asking targeted questions. They're very focused. They want to see if the person sitting and having a drink with them is their potential husband or wife. That's the beauty of matchmaking. You understand? You get to your goal. In Yiddish they say tachlis. Let's go. What's the goal? You understand? That's important. So I think that I very much praise the system very much. I like it. You could talk about favorite vacations, where would you like to travel, how many children would you like to have, for example, or if you have an argument, how do you settle differences? Oh, I have to win everything. Whoa, red flag. If you don't hear things like, well, let's negotiate and compromise, what do you think marriage is? Marriage is a not-for-profit business. So it's compromise all the time. So that's basically some of the good questions. Now, I'm going to also jump ahead and give you a formula. Oh, by the way, oh no, you know what? I want to do something. Okay, sure. I want to catch something. Give me a second. I got it. Okay. Let's work this way. Let's look at the 10 biggest mistakes people are making that are leading to divorce and how you could avoid them. Number one, with the divorce rate over 60%, listen to these critical 10 insights so you don't make the same mistakes. Number one, you marry the wrong guy because you expect him to change after you're married. Big mistake. What you see is what you get. You can marry potential, but the person pretty much has to be where you want them to be, where they're comfortable with you. Two, you marry the wrong person because you focus more on physical attraction than on character. And we spoke about that already. Number three, this is for you girls. You marry the wrong guy because the man doesn't understand what a woman needs most. And what a woman needs is attention, or to feel special. So as a doctor, once I was working with Walgreens on producing a certain orthopedic item that was going to go to retail. I had a patent on it. And the guy would say to me, how come I can never get you? The buyer for Walgreens said, Dr. Cohen, where are you 9 to 1? I said, oh, he's an Irish guy. Walgreens' corporate headquarters is in Chicago. So I had to explain to him. He says, I live in New York and I teach young married men how to behave in marriage. Really? He says to me, what do you teach them? So this was a meeting between me and him, and he had 4 secretaries there listening to this. So, Rob, I'm going to teach you 2 words in Hebrew that I teach my boys that are married. Treat your wife like makom rishon. First place. If a girl feels like she's first place with the guy, now you hit it. Now that's the best. So you want to make sure that the guy gives you attention. That's very important. Number 4, you choose the wrong guy because you don't share common life goals. I spoke about that before, where you should be looking in the same direction. Make sure that you develop a deep connection when you're dating the guy, because after marriage, the two of you will either grow together or grow apart. Figure out what your values are now, and then find a guy who has the same values as you, or similar. It's very important. That's the definition of a soulmate. A soulmate is a goal mate. We share the same goals. Number 5, we live in a secular world. You choose the wrong guy because you get involved physically too quickly. Listen to this. This is very important. This is written by psychologists. Intimacy before marriage is a huge problem because it doesn't allow you to honestly understand the relationship. It will cloud your mind. I have a whole lecture on this. When a woman is touched, it releases all types of hormones in her body. And she thinks that it's almost over proposal. It's not. It's oxytocin rushing in her blood, making her think he's the guy. It's not. A clouded mind makes very poor decisions. It's not necessary to take a test drive to figure out if he's the right guy. If you do your homework and ask the right questions, you're good to go. Number 6, you picked the wrong person because you didn't develop a deep emotional connection with him when you were dating him. Don't ask him what car you drive. It's not important. I remember when I was living in Miami, 2 things were important: the car and your body. That's all. Which is terrible. Number 7, you picked the wrong person because you choose someone who you don't feel safe with. Now today we have a lot of emotional instability. We have a lot of people on medications. You got to watch out. You have to look for inconsistencies in the relationship. There's drug abuse today. There's all types of stuff. Do you feel like he's trying to control you or manipulate you? Number 8, you picked the wrong husband because you didn't put everything on the table. Anything that bothers you should be discussed while you're dating him. That's the only way you can determine how will you behave together in a marriage. I love it when there's a problem in the relationship. I want to see how you work it out. And if you work it out nicely in your dating, then that's a good sign you'll live together well when you're married. If it goes smooth all the way, be careful. There should be some problems in the dating relationship. And I want to see how you deal with it. How you can discuss it and negotiate it. Can you resolve differences now, before you get married? Never be afraid to tell the guy what's bothering you. That's the only way you can test the vulnerability of the relationship. Vulnerability means I'm willing to open my soul to you. 9, you get married to the wrong guy because you just want to escape your life. I hate my mother, I want to get out of the house. That's not a reason to get married. You know why? Because if you're not happy and single, you won't be happy and married. Marriage will not make your problems go away. Marriage will make them worse. So if there's anything that bothers you, or you want to work something through, do it now. Figure it out now. You picked the wrong person, number 10, because that person is involved in a triangle. Mazet triangle. Well, 2 dots make a straight line. A triangle is like this. That means you're not the most important person in his life. A triangle means he's very close to his mother, his father. He's addicted to drugs. He's a workaholic, doesn't come home. He's a gambler. These are all issues. A couple of years ago, a Beis Yaakov girl came to me. Ruchama, I think was her name. Yeah. And she says to me, I was married 3 weeks. What happened? Well, after the wedding, we went to the hotel. He's on the phone with his mother for 2 hours. Whoa! That was over. Yeah. Something going on over there. So, we have to be careful. Anyway, I gave you a little tidbit of some wisdom in dating. I'm happy. It was such a pleasure to come. I enjoyed it so much. I'm happy to open up the floor to any question. Don't be embarrassed. If you don't want to ask me, then you can always write me on WhatsApp. But I'm here, so you can ask me. And if anybody wants my help in any way to work through anything, just call me. I still have a Miami phone number because I taught University of Miami Fesha Torah. 305-206-1916. You can always reach me. You can talk to me on Instagram or on whatever you want, on my phone number or Facebook, whatever it is you want. And we can reach me on my website, drjackdating.com. It's something that I enjoy doing. So, does anybody have any questions? You're good? Okay, done. Thank you. Did you enjoy it? Yes. Baruch Hashem. Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to come back because I'll tell you why. This is a special shiur. The 10 Commandments of Marriage by Rabbi Victor Miller. I've given it 4 or 5 times. I want to come back just to do this, but I want them more for the... Singles can come because it's very helpful, but the marrieds would love this.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Bevakasha.
What do you think about age difference? Like around maybe age difference?
How many years? I'm 10 years between my wife and I. Yeah. I didn't schedule it that way. The point I want to make is, it's not about the age, it's about the maturity. I went to Israel. I speak on dating in Israel every 4 months. I was there in June. When I go to Israel, I speak Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim, all over. And the last night that I was there in June, a 42-year-old guy from America brings me his girlfriend. She's 27. He's dying to marry her. I spoke to her from 1 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got to get to an 8 o'clock plane in the morning. And I think they're going to get engaged pretty soon. I'm not that encouraging or discouraging it. I don't see a problem if they're happy with each other. I don't see a problem. I mean, it can't be too unrealistic. They really, if they connect and there's a cashier and there's a bond, it's fine. It's your decision and him. Nobody should tell you what to do. Anybody else? Okay.
I just wanted to say three small things.
Yeah.
Number 1 is, I hope everyone enjoyed. I think when a lot of people were asking me, is it for married, is it for single, I just wanted to tell everyone that even if you're dating or even if you're married, but Hashem, we're part of a community. It's very important that we take care of each other. Like, if you found your person, you're married, but Hashem, amazing. But you also have a lot of friends, so you can ask your husband. Like, this is the moment also to take care of everyone. It's like it's communal. It's everyone. I also wanted to say that next Tuesday we're having Raquel Kirschenbaum from Neve. She's an amazing speaker.
Beautiful. She's tops.
She's top. She's top.
Yeah.
And
I know I have a lot of clients who keep her still as a mashpia.
So she's coming next Tuesday, and then on Thursday with 15 girls we're going to New York with Raquel also. So very excited with everyone that's going. And
where are you going? To Ohel?
no, we're going to 5 times on Manhattan.
Oh, shopping?
Shopping 4 days.
Stop into my office and say hello. We'll have coffee. Yes, come. No, I'm in Flatbush, but you can't come to New York and not see Flatbush. This is the spot. Come to ours. You'll have. We'd love to have you. You have a big house. We'd love to see you.
Rabbi, tell everyone they can text you and call you up. Can I show your number?
Absolutely. Everyone is welcome to text me and call me. And if I can help, I'm sure I could help you. This is an area that I know very well. You have my number? 305-206-1916. Go ahead. Shh. What?
You said that we should focus mostly on like the actions that they do instead of like the words or something like that. But
Both.
yeah, but if we see potential in someone needing to change, should you trust it or should you wait?
So now you have to date a little longer and see that the changes, some of them happen while you're there.
So like
Right. Yeah, my pleasure. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Rabbi, I think you need to start making a lot of new challenges.
Is that?
Dating, life.
Okay, let's go. Let's do. Help me. You know what? You reach out to me. Sure.
How do you find a good shadchan? Because how do you find a good shadchan meet? Like
Trial and error.
Because I had one experience and then after that, like I don't know where to find one. Like I don't know.
Send me a WhatsApp. I'll find the people.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We appreciate it. Surely. Nice to meet you. We're going to New York with Ali.
Come to my house.
Yeah.
I have an office. Stop in.
Okay.
If you guys want, we can have like a little mini share. I have a very big library.
Okay, amazing.
Just let me know in a day or two before.
Perfect. Sally can coordinate or I can text you.
Okay.
Thank you. It was amazing.
You liked it?
Yeah.
I can't wait. The list would help me for Thursday. So I'm not paid on Thursday, so I might need that. I'll ask Sally.
Okay.
Yeah.
A pleasure. Hi.
I have a quick question for you. I just didn't want to. I wasn't sure if it applied to everyone, so.
Give me a second. Hold on. Go.
So we're just coming from our traditional American in the area, so concerned with opposites. I just feel like now the secular dating and people wanting to see, friends, family. Like, what are your, I guess,
How old are you?
I'm 26.
What do you do?
My sister is 23. So we're in the same.
Hello, youngest sister. Yeah.
She actually lived in New York, just moved back from the city. Very well that I want
Yeah? You didn't come and say hello to me. And now you have to come back to say hello. Have a step back dinner with us. Who? Which one? Yeah, sure. Very nice. How old are you? She's about the same age? Where does she live? In Aurora or something? Right. Used to be around with me like this. Now, what's his name? So what's your background? You were born here?
Born and raised here. Our mom was Palestinian.
famous name of Miami. Every other person is a Bayhawk.
Yep, the Temple Moses, Miami Beach crowd, that's where I probably maybe the picture. There's so many big hearts, so I'm sure you can relate it. Mine is Alexandria. So yeah, I was just coming from like a more traditional background. We've had a lot of people who have wanted to set us up with family, with friends, but when, or I guess like, what kinds of questions do you feel are okay to ask before meeting the person or agreeing to go on the date?
Which is 26 you can do.
Yes, just not sure if, picky questions.
Did you?
Because I don't agree to all of them.
So for that, I have to have a consultation. I'll tell you what. When I have a consultation with you, I can target the questions to your personality. And in order to do that, I have to ask a lot about your background. Because I know what you want and what you focus on.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, just because some people are very focused on social media.
Exactly. If I throw out a generic response, it's not going to do it.
Right.
But I'll give you your response. If I have right now, what's after the new consultation? What are you doing with yourself?
I just graduated from physical therapy school, so I'm working on my licensure and getting all the words and.
It's a great field. It's also a good field for a mom.
Yeah.
A lot of that, OT, PT, I love all that stuff.
Yes. So I'm hoping.
Speech therapy.
Yeah, maybe acute care to start off, just because complex cases, the most demanding.
Where'd you go to school?
But I grew up here, I went to University of Texas, and also so I've been on for the last 8 years, and I'm figuring out the dating for here, and
If I could just make a subtle suggestion, start moving your needle a little bit to the right in terms of religion. Better quality guy. Better quality girl. I deal with the whole world. You're going to have a better home. A much better home. More loyalty. More okay, honestly, no 100% guarantee, but for the most part, better quality guy. Where'd you go to school? You can see the quality of the same thing. You can see the community ethics. Second to none. But I'm saying if you move the needle a little bit to the right, it's better. I'll help you guys, but I would want to train you both privately. I'll show you what to do. Yeah, I'll do that. Very close to the heart forever. You want to see a picture when I was married? The day I was married, I went to say hello to him. Not easy. I know where I have it. You know Rabino Yossi from Ventura? I sent it to him. So I know that I goes there and I goes there. I speak for case first?
Yes.
Well, I'll be the next week to Chuppa. Rabbi Dr. Jack Cohen and his wedding day.